Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, the good and wonderful people of the tube. Hope you're today feeling grand as when you're. Hi! My name is Dave Simpson and welcome to another episode of How to Play Like John Frusciante. And today, we are talking more theory. What I wanted to show you today is extra notes you can add into the 5 positions of the pentatonic scale to make it more melodic, basically. I'm going to basically go through all 5 positions again, but there's in D minor, as usual. But I'm going to add extra notes in. Kind of like, you know, so instead of just kind of going like, for instance, on, say like, you know, your F major, instead of just going like that, you're going to be doing this today. I'm going to be showing you this kind of thing. So you get extra notes in there, and there's a lot more note choice for you to kind of like, you know, create your own solos and understand John's solos as well. So, without further ado, and also the end, because I didn't talk about it in the first video and I was supposed to and I forgot, and I do apologise, I want to talk about relative major and minor, because it's kind of important. So I'm going to talk about that at the end. I'm going to show you these scales first with the extra notes. It's basically exactly the same kind of shapes, but with extra added bits in. So yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so let's get into it, so to say. First position, F major. Extra added notes this time, so these are the notes I kind of want you to kind of learn now. So you know the pentatonic shape, we're just adding extra notes in now. So first two are exactly the same, first fret on the low E, third fret low E, open string A, but instead of going to your third fret A, now you are going to the first fret on the A string, and then to the third fret, and then down to your D, which is open, second fret D, third fret D, open G, second fret G, then down to your first fret on the B, then on to the third fret B, open high E string, and then first fret high E, and then third fret high E. So they're just the little extra added notes into the major pentatonic scale, F major pentatonic scale, basically. So like instead of just kind of like, you know, your basics, you've got a few more options, so to say. So really slow, one finger. One more time. Okay, so that's now first position of the scales coming out of D minor. There's kind of pentatonic in there, there's major scale in there. Technically you're playing modally if you're playing D minor or an F major and you're using that scale, but I'll get to that another time. It's not important at this point in time. You just need to know that those are the notes that work in D minor, so I'll get to that next week. Okay, so that's that one. Let's move on to position 2 now. Okay, so position 2 starts on the E, A and D exactly the same. It's just a box going down. So third fret on the low E is the same, to the 5th fret low E, A string 3rd, A string 5th, D string 3rd, D string 5th. And then when you go to your 2nd fret on your G string, you don't go to your 5th, you go to the 4th fret on your G string before you get to your 5th fret. So it's 2nd, 4th and 5th on the G string. And then when you go down to your B string, you want to be 3rd, 5th and 6th. And then with a high E string, you want to be on the 3rd and the 5th to finish off. So the whole scale, really slow, one finger, goes starting on the 3rd fret on the low E. nearly made a mistake then, did you spot it? Try that again. Well. Okay, so that's just your second position of your pentatonic scales, just with now extra added notes on the G and B strings. So top three strings are exactly the same. Change comes there, and then your high E string is exactly the same as well. So that's position 2, just with an extra added 2 notes, which I think most of these are. Some of them have got a few more. So that's position 2. Let's move on to position 3 now, which is quite involved. This is kind of there's a lot more notes in position 3 than there is anywhere else. So position 3 starts 5th fret on the low E. Then you go to your 7th fret low E. I have to get rid of that hair, it's driving me mad. 8th fret low E. And then you go down to your A string, starting on the 5th fret. A string 7th, A string 8th, D string 5th, D string 7th, D string 8th, down to your G string, which is 5th, and then 7th, down to your B, which is 5th, 6th, and 8th, and then down to your high E, which is exactly the same, 5th, 6th, and 8th. And this is a lovely scale. There's a lot of notes here to play with, and they're really, really cool. So, do it really slow. Start on the 5th fret, low E. And I say some of the notes do sound strange, them two especially, but believe me, they work, trust me. So, again, really, really slow, one finger. Okay, so that's 3rd position. It falls under your fingers nicely, this one. Really nice. There's a lot in those 4 frets, really. There's a lot to play with. So, position 4 now. Okay, so 4th position starts on 8th fret, low E, 10th fret, low E, goes down to the 7th fret, A string, then goes to the 8th fret, A string, 10th fret, A string, 7th fret, D, 8th fret, D, 10th fret, D, then we go to the 7th fret, G, 9th fret, G, 10th fret, G, and then we finish off exactly, usual pentatonic position here. So we've got the 8th on the B, 10th on the B, 8th on the high E, and 10th on the high E. So that whole scale, this one falls under your fingers nicely as well. It's position 3 and 4 are really nice to play around in the key of D minor or F major, which I'll explain later on. Okay, so really slow, one finger. I do know that note sounds strange, but trust me, it works. Trust me. Just okay. Again, really slow. So that's position 4. Position 5, I'm going to have to do a bit of explaining on position 5, so be prepared for this one. So that's position 1, 2, 3 and 4 with extra added notes. You know, it does like fill in notes basically onto your pentatonic, so just kind of give you a bit more option. So let's talk about position 5 now, which is the minor pentatonic, but there is something in the minor pentatonic that is very interesting. So let's talk about that. Okay, first off I want to show you the notes you can add into your minor pentatonic to kind of, like I say, give yourself more variation, more tonal kind of like, you know, fun and a more melodic choice, so to say, than just having those 5 pentatonic notes, so to say. So, starting out on the 10th fret, top string is exactly the same as usual. So 10th fret low E, 13th fret low E. Here we can go chromatically on the A and the D if you want. Be careful where you use chromatically, but you can. These are the notes you can use. Just be very aware that sometimes they might sound a bit nasty and they might clash. So just be aware of that. So you can go 10th, 11th and 12th on the A, and you can go 10th, 11th and 12th on the D. And you can kind of... You know, you can hear that kind of in the off map, if you have to ask solo, he does that, and also, you know, you can kind of use those chromatic runs every now and again. I'd say I'd be a bit more aware of the D string chromatic one than the A string. The A string one fits better, it's kind of a blues scale with a flat 5. Okay, moving on from that, so start off again, 10th fret, low E, 13th fret, low E, 10th, 11th and 12th A, 10th, 11th, 12th on the D. Moving on to your G string, kind of starting 10th fret on the G, 12th fret G, so that's the same as your pentatonic, and then going to be a B string, 10th, 11th B, and 13th B, 10th high E, 12th high E, and 13th high E. And the more eagle-eyed of you might spot, this bottom shape is just a major scale. So that is a major scale at the bottom, and I'll tell you what major scale is in a second. Let me just run this scale really slow for you, showing the notes with one finger before I'll talk about that and start getting a bit more in depth. So 10th fret, low E, start with 13th. Okay, one more time. Okay, so that's position 5, minor pentatonic with extra added notes. You've got the blue note, which is a flat 5, which I love the sound of. Gives you the devil's interval. That's that one. And again, be careful of that note in your solos. It works every now and again. Just be aware it won't work all the time. Same thing with that note there. You know, it's a semitone above D, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work all the time. So just be aware of them. Other than that, go nuts with all of them. And this major scale is just F major. It's technically first position of your pentatonic scale. So that's all that is. The bottom part of your minor pentatonic scale is the top half of the major pentatonic scale. With extra added notes, just becomes a full major scale. And a lot of guitarists use this a lot. You know, there's a lot there to play with. So that's just an F major scale at the bottom of that. And the reason it works is F major is the relative major to D minor. So say that's an F note. If I count down now 3 frets, 1, 2, 3, that's D minor. So it's relative minor, that's relative major. I hope this is making sense, I really do. And the best way to describe relative major and minor is it gives you that 1950s ballad sound. So for instance, like if you think like, you know, that kind of stereotypical 1950s kind of like, you know, love ballad sound, if I play an F, go to D, you know, hopefully you can kind of hear what I mean. That's relative major and minor, and it's very important to know that to figure out what key a song is in to solo over it. For instance, Scar Tissue is in F major, so over that you can solo in D minor. If you've got a song in C major, you can solo in A minor. If your song's in A minor, you can solo in C major. I hope that makes sense, and I will. I'll talk about this a little bit, you know, I'll reiterate all this at the end of the video, just and give you a couple more examples. So, moving on now, so that's position 5, so now we're technically back to position 1, and this is a little bit different here, because we're going to go 2 more positions before I'm out of frets. So, position 1 again, starting at the 13th fret, looks like this. Okay, so, 13th fret start with 15th fret, 12th fret, A, 13th fret A, 15th fret A, 12th fret D, 14th fret D, 15th fret D, and then we go down to 12th fret, I can't think, 12th fret on the G, then we go to the 14th fret G, and then we go over to the where are we now? 11th fret on the B, 13th fret on the B, 15th fret B, 12th fret high E, 13th fret high E, and 15th fret high E. So this is your major pentatonic position 1. It's basically its second position on the neck, so to say, really. So, and I do apologise for messing up numbers. I do it all the time once I get to double digits. My brain won't let me. So I do apologise for kind of like, you know, stumbling over the numbers. So let me do it really slow for your one finger so you can see it, and I'll shut up talking so I won't mess it up. But I will starting on the 13th fret on the low E. One more time. And I know there's some overlapping notes, but that's totally fine. You know, it doesn't matter about that. I'm just showing you the way I kind of like know the neck, so to say. So that's position 1. Okay, so position 2, pentatonic scale, added notes. Top half, again, mirror image of up here, exactly the same, but you're on the 15th and 17th on the low E, 15th and 17th on the A, 15th and 17th on the D. This is where it starts to change now. So you got the 14th on the G, 16th on the G, 17th on the G, and then down to your B string, 15th, 17th, 18th. Finish up on the high E on the 15th and the 17th. So that really slow. And one more time. Okay, so that's second position of your pentatonic scale in its second position on the dusty end of the guitar, with extra added notes there. So moving on to the last position here, position 3, with all extra added notes. So you're starting on the 17th fret. And I know I'm going to fumble my words here. So starting on the 17th fret low E, 19th fret low E, 20th fret low E, and I'll do it single fingered in a sec. Down to your A string, 17th, A string 19th, A string 20th, D string 17th, D string 19th, D string 20th, then G string is the 17th and the 19th. Moving on to your B string, which is 17th, 18th and the 20th. Moving on to your high E string now, which is exactly the same thing, 17th, 18th and the 20th. So the whole scale really slow, one finger, get my other fingers out the way so it's not a massive fingerness. Starting 17th fret low E. And one more time. Okay, so that's third position of the pentatonic scale with extra added notes. So just to give you more kind of tonal variety when you're playing. And that is literally it. That is every note from fret 1, technically, and fret 0 to your 20th fret that you can play in D minor. You can't play any other notes. You just can't. Well, you can kind of, if you want to force some wrong notes in, you're more than welcome to, but they sound awful. But every note that I've shown you on this neck now will work in the key of D minor. And well, I'll say what I was going to say in a minute about that. But what you want to do now is just kind of like sit, hopefully like you have been doing with the minor pentatonic, with just the the basic pentatonics, and get all these extra notes locked into your brain. So at a moment's notice, you know exactly where to go. And it will also help you with figuring out solos and all sorts of stuff like that. So, I'm just going to run the scales from first position to third position down here, just so you can see it all. I do apologise if my fingers become a bit of a mess, but hopefully you can kind of hear and follow that way. So let me just do that. And that's all positions with extra added notes. And I say that is all the notes you will ever need to know in D minor. And then once you know these shapes and they're under your fingers and you just know these shapes really well, you can then transpose them into another key, and which I'll talk about next week actually instead of this week. I don't want to go too much. I want to talk about the whole relative major and minor thing a little bit more, and basically a couple of other things about this. So that's the shapes. I say go away, spend a lot of time just getting these under your fingers and just learning the shapes, the notes, forget what the notes are. That is really not important what the notes are. If you know they work, then it doesn't matter if it's a D, a C, or a B. It really doesn't matter. If you know it works, then that's all that matters. That is really all that matters. Theory is one of those things. It's like the alphabet. Once you've learnt your alphabet, doesn't necessarily mean you can spell. You need to then learn how to put the words together out of those letters. You can't just, because you know how to say A, B, C, doesn't mean you know how to spell dog. You know what I mean? And the same thing goes with musical theory. Just because you know your scales doesn't necessarily mean you know how to use them in a practical sense. And it's so much more important knowing that what works than how it works, if that makes any sense. I hope that does. So let me talk to you a bit more about relative major and minor, and a little bit more on that kind of thing. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed all that lot. And I say it's so important just kind of go away and get those notes under your fingers. And like I say, it's not important to know what those notes are or why they work. Just know they do. Yeah, that's my opinion. I think you can get a little bit too bogged down with trying to understand why it works. It's like, I personally can't tell you. It just does. I have been there studying theory, and I use theory day to day in my head when I play guitar, but I'm very unconscious to using it. It's like that great Miles Davis quote, which was learn all the theory you want and then forget it and just play. And that's the key to anything. It's like those shapes I've shown you with the extra added notes are all you'll ever need to know to play blues, rock, reggae, ska, punk. Although some people want to murder me for it, jazz to an extent. I'm not saying it's literally like 1% of jazz, that is. But what else is there? Heavy metal, heavy rock, all sorts. Those shapes and those notes, if you can transpose them, which I'll talk about in a sec, into any key, that's all you'll ever need to know. And just know they work. Don't ask why, they just do. It's literally as simple as that. There is no kind of who, what, where, or why kind of thing. They just work. They're the notes that work in a certain key. So that's that. And I say, theory gets its name theory because it's just theoretical. You need to go out there and you really need to put these scales and these notes into practical use. Get a backing track for Scar Tissue up, or one of your favourite Chili Pepper songs, or even a blues track in any key, and start piecing, in D minor preferably, and start piecing these shapes together, so to say. So it kind of, that works there, I like the sound of that. And you start to develop your own kind of voice, because you start to kind of go, well, I like that sound, so I'll use that, and that becomes like a thing of yours, so to say. So that's that. A little bit more on relative major and minor. Like I say, this is very important if you want to kind of like figure out what key a song is in, because if a song's in a major key, you can't go off soloing in a minor key over it from its root note. Say if a song's in C major, you can't solo in C minor because it'll just sound awful. So you have to know what the relative minor is to the major. So like I say, for instance, like F major is the relative major to D minor. And I say the main way to figure it out is if the song's a minor key and you want to solo over a major, solo over it with a major scale, sorry. Say for instance like D major, D minor, the song's in D minor, you want to solo in F major. Just count up 3 frets from your root note. So 10th fret on your low E is D, the D note. Count up 3 frets, so 1, 2, 3, and you're on your F note, which means back to your relative major. And the same thing goes if you're in a major progression and you want to solo over a minor progression. Just count down 3 notes from your root note. So F, 1, 2, 3, down to the D. So D is your minor. So I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to be as kind of straightforward as I can with it. It is a bit of a mind kind of screw around, I'll tell you. But when it all clicks in, it is, it really does click in. So I'll say, important to go away, learn those shapes in D minor / F major if you want to be kind of pedantic about it. Yeah, and just kind of like go away and learn them in that thing. And then once you've learned those scales in D minor and F major, and you know them like the back of your hand. You just absolutely have them locked into your brain. You know the shapes, you know the notes. Try then transpose it into a different key, like E minor, for instance. So instead of kind of like, you know, say for instance, like, you know E minor pentatonic, go back from that. So go, right, okay, so E minor is your 5th position. So what's the 4th position? So go back to your D minor and go, well, the 4th position of D minor is this. So, if I move that and start that on the 10th fret, then it's now the 4th position of E minor. And I was like, I'm brushing through this because I want to talk about that more next week in depth as I can. But hopefully that makes sense. And I say, you know, it's so important to kind of know these basic fundamentals of this. So, I hope you enjoyed this video on, I say, pentatonic positions with extra added notes. Technically, you know, you could say it's modal, but I'll talk about that next week. You know, I don't want to get too crazy straight off the bat. So, that's that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's been insightful. Go away and learn these scales now, I tell you. Your life will be enriched by it. Trust me, believe me. Okay, so, thank you very much. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. I will see you again very soon for another video. Goodbye now.